We all know the deal with fighting game super moves that get cinematic. You take a few seconds to style on your opponent with a small cutscene that shows off the strongest attack by your character. They can perform the attack in a variety of ways, from honorable to arrogant, but consistently, all the actions by the characters are intentional. Though what about those cutscenes that convey a character making a mistake during their super move that just so happens to damage the opponent, or they initiate a super move that wasn't even meant to be an attack against them? In this video, I'm going over my favorite accidental super moves in fighting games. Simply, these supers have to feature a move where the character attacks their opponent by accident, whether it's something that starts with an intended attack and they mess up in the middle or at the end, or the whole attack was just out of the user's control and just so happened to cross paths with the opponent. The only other restriction is one super move per series of origin. Now, let's trip up the top 10 accidental super moves in fighting games. Number 10. Akari from the last Blade series is an enthusiastic demon summoner. She's new at the craft, but is a natural at it. That being said, summoning and controlling the demons are two different skills. For just the magic spells, she's got that on lock, but ones where a demon is on the field, it's a mixed bag. Usually, she gets tossed around by the demon, but has enough control over herself where she turns it into something that looks like an intentional attack when she's really hanging on for dear life. And she's at a peak level of distraught during her super move where she unleashes the floodgates of every demon possible. No idea if she knew this many demons would come out or if she just wanted a few, but regardless, all the demons are here to help. And by help, I mean chaotic neutral destruction. Look how proud she is when she thinks she can command them. She's funny. Anyway, as soon as the demons come out, she starts stumbling and bumbling before they even reach her. Then she falls and proceeds to get trampled by some of them, but not enough to get hurt, more just where she's like, heh, jerks, I'm not inviting you to dinner later. However, her folly gets the job done since the entire time this is going on, the opponent gets run over by all the demon hullabaloo, so all's well that ends well. Also, I just like seeing all the random demons that they animated just for this moment. I recognize some of these demons like the Kappa or Tengu, but I can't tell if all the others are from actual folklores or just original characters. Like, is this just a ward paper guy with a face? And are these the Fry guys from McDonald's? No matter who they are, I hope Akari doesn't fully master her powers so we can get more goofy moments like this. Number 9. Yuriko from Arcana Heart is a girl who likes the dark arts but did not intend to do anything sinister with them. She just liked reading about them. When her friend pranked her by summoning a demon that she was too scared to try out, it summoned a skull demon dude named Michelangelo, nicknamed Mike, and now he wants to fight or something like that. He either needs a body to assist him or just finds Yuriko useful, so she has him wield him as a skull on a cane during matches. Based on her expressions, Yuriko wants no part in these fights, but has to hang on to Mike since he's also become her cape, so she gets dragged along regardless. When he goes full demon mode for a few seconds and gingerly holds her, she just stares at him in shock like, this guy's gonna kill us if I don't stay on his good side. Really, you could say her entire moveset is accidental, since it seems like none of it is controlled by her. The super move where this is most apparent is where she rides him like a broomstick. It starts with the animation that plays before all of her supers, where he's leading the charge and she's holding on for dear life. It's very much a classic zoom around the stage sort of super, but Yuriko is just crying for help or telling Mike to slow down the whole time until the super is over. There's no subtitles for what she's saying, but you can tell it's something like, I want to get off this ride. And the accidental nature of this super is topped off with them crashing into a wall at the end and both bouncing around dizzy for a second. And if you time things just right, them colliding with the wall can cross paths with the opponent for extra damage. Despite this seeming like a parasitic relationship with the skull demon doing all the work, he's pretty happy having Yuriko as a partner in crime, so maybe he's nice but just a bit inconsiderate. Number 8.
KO! You win!
Shingo from the King of Fighters is a normal guy who just wants to have some fun with his idols. He saw the main character Kyo Kusanagi fighting in a televised tournament, and from that moment, he was hooked at imitating Kyo's style. He also eventually became a time traveler, but I'm just focusing on old regular dude Shingo. His moveset is sort of a bootleg version of Kyo's, but with his own charm and no fire powers, and that includes his super moves. Being an amateur in many of his appearances, when it comes to attacks with longer durations, he can usually start them fine, but messes up or cuts himself off by the end. King of Fighters 2002 probably has my favorite, where he starts the super fine, but forgets how to close it out, so he takes out his notebook and thumbs through it for a few seconds to figure out how to end it. And for the topic of this video, King of Fighters 2003 has him fall flat on his face after an otherwise impressive display of kicks. When he's the team leader, he can perform a super move where he does Kyo's hazy wheel kick, which usually is a normal move for Kyo, where he does a series of kicks as he ascends in the air, and then slams the opponent down with his heel at the end. Shingo's super move variant of this attack nails the kicks, but on that final strike, the laws of physics tell him that he's too high and he just falls to the ground head first. Despite that goofy ending, he gets in all the damage he needs to, so the accident in the super is inconsequential. Sure, he looks silly, but the damage is more important than pride in the end. I like to imagine that if he didn't put himself in a scenario where he ungracefully falls, he wouldn't have been able to make the move so powerful. If you miss some of the kicks on the attack, the opponent won't be pushed away as far and he can fall on them to do damage, so he can't injure them with his folly. You just have to be wary of how you connect with the attack. Also, when he falls, we get a cartoony whistle sound effect to drive in how silly this is. This attack is a normal special move for Shingo in other games, and when he falls at the end, the opponent is generally not pushed away as far, so the fall is more likely to connect to do the damage. However, the super move variant is how I first learned of this attack, so when I think of some of the goofier yet sincere super moves in fighting games, Shingo always comes to mind first.
KO! You win!
Number 7.
Suffer my bloodlust! Should it be like this, Xianglin?
This is like the only super on the list that isn't funny. Without context, it looks like your standard edgy super move that's completely intentional. But with context, it's one of those angsty, I can't control the evil inside of me supers. It's like your evil Ryu, or Wild Leona, or Devil Jin, or this whole video I made. I covered Keelik from Soul Calibur in full on my staff fighting game characters list, but the only context you need for this super is, his weapon was passed down to him via family and has the power to absorb evil energy emitted from the wicked sword Soul Edge. However, the burden it carries is the evil energy that it holds can take over the mind briefly and cause him to go berserk. Part of his mission is to purify the evil, and if you do his super move when he's not in his evil state, he just does a cool combo where he pokes you a lot with the stick and ends it with a chant of purification. And that's how he wants to fight. No remorse, all good. However, if you do his soul charge technique before the super, he loses control of that evil energy, but you don't need me to tell you that. The purple glow and red eyes might tip you off. The soul charge is a move every character can use if they have enough meter, and it gives them a special power boost and potentially new or enhanced attacks. Besides changing up his normal attacks, the evil energy now causes Keelik's super to activate because its bloodlust is rising. It needs to be violent and forces Keelik to do its bidding while it's free, and when he finishes the super, you can see he's trying to fight off the evil energy even though it's already unleashed its power. I feel like I'm trivializing it by simply calling this accidental, since it's a big deal when Keelik's body is taken over, but all things considered, it is unintentional on his part. He doesn't want to hit you with all this evil purple energy, he just wants to go pokey pokey, and we can all sympathize with that, right?
Ling-Shang Super! I strike without reserve! Om Vajra Dharma killing. Listen to the raging of my soul!
Number 6. Bravo from Chaos Code is a chef who fights with cooking, the best fighting game concept ever. I used to have a running gag on this channel how I wanted more chefs in fighting games, so this is peak for me. He's an Italian chef who specializes in cooking Chinese food, and he's a grappler who still has speed and ranged attacks with his cooking tools and food. While he's fine with wasting a perfectly good meal for a super move, Bravo doesn't want his staff to be harmed during the fight. For the super move in question, he starts by doing his normal grappler stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary, goes for a wall slam, but then when he attempts to toss you away and continue the match, one of his waitresses has like a dozen meals ready for a table off screen, and it just so happens that they're ready to be served. However, she runs onto the stage to deliver these meals right as he's throwing the opponent away. So instead, the opponent collides with the waitress, she runs off sad, and now Bravo is distraught, so he finishes off the opponent with a punch for ruining his meals and making his waitress sad, even though he technically threw them into her. Low-key, this super kinda makes me upset, since the waitress looked so happy right before the incident. Like, look at her, she's just trying to do her job, holding all the meals, a smile on her face since she probably is a friendly person, and then boom, all that food wasted. Now she's crying since the customer's food is garbage, and I don't want to see her like this. I hope all the parties recover. Though she did her part in the super, since it stuns the opponent when they collide with her to hold them in place before the finishing blow, but at what cost? However, she does get her revenge in Bravo's level 3 super when he calls out all the waitresses to deliver the food, this time with a plan to direct them right past the opponent, so she leads the other waitresses to stampede over them, and now the food has arrived with no incidents and we can all leave happy. Number 5.
I'll heal your wounds! React! Astral finish! Where'd you go?
Celica Mercury from BlazBlue isn't much of a fighter. She's got the power of healing magic instead, but her niece Kokonoe, the scientist on the roster, invented her a robot named Minerva that fights on her behalf. So Minerva provides the pain while Celica focuses on healing themselves. Celica does her best to command the robot, but with Minerva's primary objective being to protect Celica from any danger, it acts on its own to cover any blind spots in her strategy. However, since Celica is ultimately a lover not a fighter, in her astral finish, which is a super move that wins the round if it connects, Celica goes for the peaceful ending. She initiates it by telling her opponent that she'll heal their wounds now that the fight appears to be over. She had them on the ropes, so let's agree to give Celica the win and both walk away feeling good. Deal? Cool. Wait, Minerva, where are you going? The battle's over. We're taking the high road. The high part is not a literal thing. And then it comes down to a single hit finishing blow that sends the opponent flying off screen, never to be seen again. And since Celica closes her eyes when she heals the opponent, she misses all of this. I don't know if she's confused at the end because the opponent is gone or Minerva is gone when she opens her eyes, or both. But once she sees Minerva, she seems happy, as if another job is complete. I guess she just assumes that the opponent ran off as soon as they were healed, and she doesn't have to worry about them having several broken bones now. Or maybe she is aware and she's looking at Minerva at the end like, "Oh Minerva, you scamp, doing the opposite of me again." Either way, the damage is done and Celica at least attempted to do the noble thing.
Celica, win!
Number 4.
Here I go!
Lily may be a skilled fighter, but perhaps when she's a bit tired, it's difficult to keep her grip. In Street Fighter 6, characters' level 3 super moves change when you're in your last third of health to show the fighter pulling out all the stops for that extra damage. When Lily does her level 3 super move at higher health, it all goes as planned, grabs you with her clubs, spins you around in the air for a bit, and goes for the slam. Pretty cut and dry command grab super. But when Lily is on her last third of health, it all goes awry at the spinning portion. In the middle, her opponent gets loose, but with the force of gravity still being a thing, they get slammed down by physics, and Lily no longer has her momentum and flails her arms as she plummets down behind them. Unlike her opponent though, who just has the hard ground to break their fall, Lily has a cushion to land on, being their body, and the force of her falling on them apparently hurts more than the premeditated slam. I mentioned this in my Street Fighter 6 super move ranking, but I love how this mess up by Lily is a reference to her mentor and former roster member T-Hawk. One of his Super Street Fighter 4 Ultra combos is also a command grab that spins the opponent around in the air and ends with him landing on them by sitting. It's the old Tim and Eric, this is what I do, I sit on you method. So Lily ends her super move the same way, just without the intent. Number 3. Dizzy is half human, half gear, the latter of which are the living biological weapons of war in the Guilty Gear universe. Dizzy's powers allow her to shapeshift parts of her body and clothing into objects fit for a fight, but her best weapons, so to speak, are her wings, which are actually her guardians, Necro and Undyne. They form into physical bodies to fight for Dizzy. They only activate when they sense trouble, so they're technically acting independent from Dizzy, but she's good at working with them. Undyne, the Angel, specializes in ice and electric attacks, while Necro, the Reaper, is into fire and some of the more violent-looking attacks from Dizzy, but he's also capable of the Gamma Ray, a beam of ultimate destruction that was Dizzy's mother's ultimate move. With Dizzy's instant kill in the Guilty Gear Xrd games, which is a super move that automatically wins you the round if it connects, Necro tries this ray. It starts with him doing the old tap you on the wrong shoulder prank, so Dizzy isn't looking at him. We see that she's not at fault already since she's not paying attention to the Reaper. He then charges up the beam thinking he's in the clear, but before he gets a chance to fire off the death ray, Dizzy tackles him to mess up his aim and it just avoids hitting the opponent, causing mass non-lethal destruction in the distance. It ends with us getting a funny reaction from the opponent where they slowly turn their head to the screen with a facial expression of fear, relief, shock, and or other emotions implying that they're done with the fight, with surrendered appearing on screen afterwards. Usually it says destroyed after an instant kill is done, since, as the name implies, it finishes off the opponent, usually just incapacitating them where you get the win, but the bowel-avoiding fear of seeing how effortlessly this attack can kill is just as effective. The treat of this attack is seeing the unique reactions by each character. It's so fun going through all of them. In the end, the opponent now knows they should never mess with Dizzy. Not even Dizzy wants to mess with Dizzy.
Dizzy, win.
Number 2.
Sunday driver. This is bad.
Combo KO.
I feel the Marvel vs. Capcom series has the most amount of accidental super moves of any fighting game franchise. There's a good amount of non-fighters and pacifists on the roster, so you have things like Phoenix Wright getting interrupted by his companion Maya to make room, Servbot stampeding over the opponent to get lunch, Spider-Man getting attacked by Green Goblin mid-super, the existence of Roll, and Jean Grey being taken over by her dark side with the infamous line of,
It can't control it! We're
She was supposed to say Dark Phoenix Rises at the end, but dodge this works too. But I think no one does the accidental super better than She-Hulk. She-Hulk is just a stand-up gal. No matter who she's fighting, she knows her role as a hero comes first. The super initiates where a car all of a sudden tries to drive through the fight. Being the good hero that she is, she wants to protect her fellow citizen, so she shoves the opponent out of the way and stops the car with pure strength. Since the car refuses to take the foot off the gas, she disposes of it the only way she knows fit. She's gonna chuck it. And wouldn't you know, it lands right where she pushed the opponent, and now it will explode.
This is bad.
I also like how she says this is bad right before the explosion. She has the realization that she may have led to more injuries than if she just let the car keep driving. And that opens up the questions. Who's driving this car? Why did they keep on trying to drive forward when the big green lady was stopping them? Did they lose control of the wheel, or were they just late to work and nothing was getting in their way? Wait, no, she says Sunday driver when she sees the car. Probably not going to work. It's also funny if you attempt the super too far from the opponent, the cutscene won't activate and you can just hit your opponent with the car as a projectile. So you see what should have happened if She-Hulk didn't interfere. Best case scenario, this is a self-driving car with no passengers and no one gets hurt except the opponent, just as the fighting game gods intended.
This is bad.
You win!
How's that for a little courtroom drama?
For number 1, I just wanted a super move that's funny in how the user initiates and follows through with their attack, since at the end of the day, there's usually an air of humor behind these types of super moves. And aren't we all here just to get a bit of a giggle, a chortle even? Number 1. Wu-Ruixiang from the Samurai Showdown reboot is a knowledgeable fighter, but carries herself in a way where you might not expect that. She's got a giant compass that lets her use magic, being able to summon the 4 elements of nature. But to go further beyond, she's got the 5th element of nature, dragon. For her lower level super move, the Dragon's Claw comes down to crush the opponent, using the compass as a portal of sorts to just have the dragon emerge a little. It's an unorthodox weapon for a series based around swords or giant hammer-like weapons, but it gets the job done. She appears timid in her body language, holding that compass up like a shield, but she is still actively fighting. However, when things get a bit out of hand, she panics. In this super, her initial hit is somewhat erratic and she drops the compass. That's already embarrassing, but the compass then lands on her head for the extra insult. Though there's no time to pay attention to that, since the moment without control of the compass opens up the dragon portal, and with no one to contain him, all of him emerges. Or maybe it's a different dragon from before, but either way, this dragon's mad and attacks her. Though knowing its power, or just sheer luck, she avoids it, releasing a burning stream of fire, so it hits the opponent when she dodges it. And it really hits them, like that's a full blast of death right there. Her frightened noises in response are hilarious when she's trying to get the dragon to stop. I mean, she should go for the win, but she technically doesn't want to kill the opponent, so I appreciate the concern. The clumsiness that enabled this super also goes with her character. After winning a match, she shows more concern about something of hers breaking, like her compass getting a chip in it, or not being able to find her glasses because they're on her forehead. But they're right there in your face. You're just a static image. So for having a super move where she messes up every step of the way, yet still ends in victory, Wu-Ruixiang's super is the queen of accidental super moves.
Wu-Ruixiang.
これが風水の力です。
Now, what did you think? Were all these super moves out of control, or were some of them more orderly than I anticipated? And what are some of your favorite accidental super moves, whether I discussed them or not? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.